Anyway, he then, I could feel his presence and his spirit just enter into me and go inside me, and I could feel things shifting around in spiritually, mentally. I could feel blockages being opened up. I could feel, strongholds being broken. I could feel all sorts of things being shifted around inside me. It was quite a powerful experience. But more than that, while he was doing that, I felt this connection and oneness with him. And for a few seconds, I was able to perceive what he perceived, just for a few seconds. And that is something I'll never forget. That's just totally changed my life, to know what Jesus sees and what he perceives. And just knowing that feeling that he could tell you what's under a rock in Africa, that he could tell you what someone in Thailand is thinking about at any moment. He had an awareness that just encompassed everything. And just feeling that for a minute, not only in space but time also. I just knew he could see through time to wherever he wanted to see. He had the whole universe at his command, and that was really a mind-boggling, deep, profound experience that, as I said, I'll never forget that moment. That was just so special. Yeah, that's about my reaction. I was like, wow. Whoa. So look, this was felt like about a minute or two. He was working on me and really did some amazing stuff. Whatever he did, I don't know, but he did some amazing stuff, and I don't think I've quite been the same since. And then he stopped and he said, well, while we're here, are there things you want to talk about? So I sort of just sort of wheelchair, because she'd been here for like 20 years. I said, I just don't think I can just abandon all of that. And there were prophecies over my life that had talked about things I was going to do with my life. And I said, I just don't feel my life's fulfilled. I don't feel my life on earth is complete. And as much as I did not want to go back, I should explain that. It was so beautiful there. The thought of tearing myself away from that and coming back into my earthly life was not something that was very attractive at all. There is no comparison, people. If I can just talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
We all sit here and we mourn and we weep when somebody we love dies. Don't. They are going to somewhere. If they are believers, they are going to somewhere that is just so amazingly good. It's beyond our imagination. It is so wonderful to be there. It is the most blessed and beautiful experience you can imagine. So if you've lost someone, if somebody has died as a Christian, as a believer, rest assured, this is a merciful, loving God. This is a God that loves you more than you can possibly understand how much he loves you. He wants to help you. He wants you to be with him. And any of your relatives or friends that have passed away, you can rejoice. You can just rejoice because they are in the arms of God, and it's a wonderful place to be. So yeah, I had this choice to make, and interestingly, I started to get afraid again at this point, because I thought, I'm leaving all these people behind. My children are going to be freaked out. My children are going to be sad, and this is going to be very difficult for them. And what's my daughter Rebecca in the wheelchair? What will she do? How will she get through this without me? Because I was her one parent who was still, in contact with her. And I got anxious and I got afraid in that moment. And suddenly there was a shift in the atmosphere, and the angels all got rather taken aback, and they all gathered around me and they said, no, we can't do that here. We can't have fear here. And they calmed me using their spirits, their communication, however it worked, but they calmed me down again and said, there is no fear in this place. And they just basically brought me back to that beautiful, peaceful, loving state again, which, I now realize they were the ones bringing that state around in me. They were the ones just emanating that love into me. So I was calmed down again and back in that beautiful, loving state again. And then I just said to the Lord, look, I really think I do need to go back and be there for these people, for my family. And he started to say to me, yeah, I want you to, tell people about this. I want you to tell people about where you've been and what's happened, and to make it known what happens when you die, because people need to hear this. People need to understand this. People need to be able to overcome the fear of death. He was explaining these sorts of things to me. And around then, the angel returned, and his words were, the vessel is good, which I gather meant my body was okay. I could come back into my body. I'm sure the Lord had the power to heal my body anyway, but I think he was just seeing what was going on and how everything was happening. So I felt at this stage like I'd been there for about 15 minutes, would have been my estimation of the time. And then the Lord just said to me, look, there are things, I need to show you and talk to you about before you go back. And so I said, sure, yeah, tell me, what is it? And he said, your choices when you go back will determine whether you come back again to paradise or whether you don't. He said, the choices you make in your life, how you deal with temptation, how you deal with the rest of your life, that is up to you. We can't dictate that for you. You have to make those choices and choose the paths that you walk. And that is the risk you run going back. And I understood that. And I said, yeah, I do understand that. And he then showed me things from my future, a few people that I had not yet met that were going to come into my life. And he showed me things that were yet to happen, and asked me, would I be willing to do this? Would I be willing to do that? Things that I said yes to, which did occur. He showed me the face of somebody who I hadn't yet met that I was going to meet. And he said, you need to be aware of this person. So I sort of agreed to everything that he said to me. I said, okay, I'll take all of that on board, and I'll be very aware of my choices and what I do. And at that point, he sort of turned and said, okay, well, it's time to send you back. And I felt myself once again, like first flying down, then felt myself floating again, as if I was in a watery substance. And I could see a light above me as I was floating. And I sort of traveled towards that light, and then suddenly, bang, I was back in my body again, lying in the ambulance.